Hi, my name is Paul, and today I want to present you our paper WDM 3D Wavelet Diffusion Models for High-Resolution Medical Image Synthesis. Costly and labor-intensive image acquisition, as well as privacy concerns, are main reasons for one of the biggest challenges in medical image computing or deep learning with medical images, and this is the lack of large-scale datasets. Recent research, however, suggests that generative models can augment these datasets, and they additionally form the basis for a lot of downstream tasks, for example, semantic segmentation networks. Generative models are therefore of great value to the entire community. Generative modeling of three-dimensional medical images is, due to the three-dimensionality, particularly challenging and often limited by computational resources. This is why we identify the need for more efficient 3D medical image synthesis models. We propose WDM, a three-dimensional wavelet diffusion model for high-resolution medical image synthesis. Our proposed approach is simple, so you just need to train a single model. It is efficient, as it provides a small memory footprint and comparably fast sampling, and we were able to demonstrate state-of-the-art performance in terms of image fidelity and image diversity. Let's have a quick look into our method. I want to start this method section with a short explanation of the spatial dimensionality reduction approach that we take, and this is basically the cornerstone of our work. Given an input volume, for example this brain MR image here with a resolution of 256 cubic, recent approaches usually modeled these volumes in a slice or patchwise fashion, or trained an additional autoencoder to encode the input volume into a meaningful latent representation. We take a different approach and apply discrete wavelet transform to decompose the input volume into 8 wavelet subbands. If we apply the inverse discrete wavelet transform to these wavelet subbands, we can reconstruct the initial volume. The idea of our paper is to train a diffusion model to learn the distribution over the wavelet coefficients rather than the high-resolution input volumes. To process these wavelet coefficients, we first concatenate them in the channel dimension and then apply a first 3D convolution to map the 8 wavelet subbands to the number of input channels of a three-dimensional unit. This 3D unit then operates on a smaller spatial dimension, which results in a reduced memory footprint, shallower network architectures as less downsampling steps are required, and less computations, which results in faster training and sampling. Our proposed spatial dimensionality reduction approach is training-free in a sense that we do not need an additional autoencoder, and it is dataset agnostic. Let's now have a look into how to train a diffusion model on these wavelet coefficients. The task of the diffusion model is to learn the distribution over the wavelet coefficients. To do so, we train a neural network to remove noise from previously noised wavelet coefficients. This network is trained with a simple MSE loss over the wavelet coefficients. We empirically found that directly predicting the denoised wavelet coefficients worked better than predicting the noise that we would need to remove to obtain a slightly denoised version of these coefficients. For sampling from our model, we can start with random noise, pass this noise through the reverse process of our diffusion model to generate synthetic wavelet coefficients and apply inverse discrete wavelet transform to obtain the final output images. Let's have a quick look into some of our results. We trained our network on 2 different publicly available datasets, a brain MR image dataset and a lung CT dataset, over 2 different resolutions, 128 cubic and 256 cubic. We found that the GPU memory required for sampling from these models was below 8 GB, and we were able to train all these models on a single 40 GB GPU. On this slide, you can see some volume renderings of the synthetic data that we generate with our model. let's quickly have a look into some quantitative results. We find that our method is especially memory efficient. Training was possible on a single 40 GB GPU, while sampling on the higher resolution required less than 8 GB of GPU memory. While our method provides the smallest memory footprint of all comparing methods on the lower resolution, it is the only diffusion-based method that we could train on the higher resolution. We were also able to show state-of-the-art performance in terms of FID and MSSSIM scores. We did not experience any mode collapse on the higher resolution, which we experienced with the GAN-based approach. We also want to mention that some other approaches on the lower resolution provide better MSSSIM scores. We, however, find that this is due to very diverse but non-realistic images. Our method is comparably fast, so compared to a 3D DDPM baseline that uses the same network architecture that we use, our proposed approach is 86% faster. However, it is still slower than the GAN-based approach and the three-dimensional latent diffusion model that, however, just samples with 300 time steps compared to 1000 in our method. To sum this up, we presented WDM, a novel three-dimensional wavelet diffusion model for high-resolution medical image synthesis. Our proposed approach is simple, as it eliminates the need for an additional autoencoder. It is memory efficient, because we can train and sample on a single 40 GB GPU, and it effectively scales to high resolutions. We were able to demonstrate state-of-the-art image fidelity and sample diversity scores while being comparably memory efficient. We already experimented with conditioning this generation process to employ it for image-to-image translation tasks and found some first promising results. If you're more interested into this, have a look into our paper CWDM, Conditional Wavelet Diffusion Models for Cross-Modality 3D Medical Image Synthesis. Thank you for watching this video. You can find some more information on our project page. There we also link to the publicly available code. We link to some pre-trained model weights, and you can find some further samples of generated images there. Thanks.